As most of us are aware, infectious diseases are an increasing concern in today's society, and as a result, they are featured prominently in the media. In accordance with this, today I will be discussing the article, The Challenge of Emerging and Reemerging Infectious Diseases, which was written in 2004 by David Morans, Gregory Folkers, and Anthony Fauci. I selected this article for a number of reasons. First of all, infectious disease is the area of health that I am most interested in. Epidemics and outbreaks are my favorite thing to learn about, and this article was very interesting to me. I further thought this article would be good to discuss because resurgences of previously controlled infectious diseases, such as measles, have been occurring across Canada, making the topic particularly relevant. That, coupled with the current Ebola pandemic, has brought infectious disease to the forefront of everyone's minds. The purpose of this article was to examine the nature and scope of emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases and to consider methods for controlling them. Though not directly stated, the article posed the questions: what causes infectious diseases to emerge and re-emerge? Which diseases have been emerging and re-emerging and where? And what can be done about emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases? In response to these questions, the article looks at a number of case studies of emerging, re-emerging, and deliberately emerging diseases and discusses what caused them. Emerging infectious diseases are defined as those that have not previously been recognized in humans. The article divides these newly emerging infections into 4 categories: vector-borne diseases, environmentally persistent diseases, diseases caused by old microbes, and chronic diseases. Vector-borne diseases are some of the most important to have emerged in recent decades and include arenavirus, hemorrhagic fevers, and hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. These diseases have co-evolved with other organisms such as rodents and have spread to humans due to modern environmental and behavioral factors, including farming, hunting, keeping domestic pets, and habitat destruction. Environmentally persistent diseases are diseases that are transmitted to or between humans by way of human-modified environments. An example of this is Legionnaire's disease, a severe form of pneumonia that emerged due to the environmental niche provided by air conditioning systems. In the case of diseases caused by old microbes, microbes previously known to cause other diseases mutate to cause new emerging diseases. The most notable instance of this has been with streptococcal diseases, caused by the same microbe that causes scarlet fever. Chronic diseases caused by emerging infectious diseases have also become an area of interest in recent years, and researchers are trying to link a number of conditions with infectious agents. An association has already been found between HPV and cervical cancer, and between hepatitis B and C and chronic liver failure. New links are expected to be found every year. Of all the newly emerging infectious diseases, the article focuses most heavily on HIV and AIDS, thought to have emerged due to disruptions in the social and economic infrastructure in sub-Saharan Africa. HIV is believed by some to be the product of the consumption of bushmeat from non-human primates, and increased travel, the movement of rural populations to large cities, urban poverty, and the weakening of the family structure are all thought to have promoted sexual practices such as promiscuity and prostitution that facilitated its transmission. HIV and AIDS demonstrate the importance of complex interactions between infectious agents, hosts, and the environment in emerging infectious diseases. Re-emerging infectious diseases are classified as diseases that existed in the past but are now experiencing an increase in incidence or geographic range. A number of factors are thought to drive these resurgences, including microbial evolution, zoonotic encounters, environmental encroachment, climate change, and human behaviors such as increased air travel. In looking at re-emerging diseases, the article focuses on drug-resistant microbes, opportunistic re-emerging infections, and re-emerging zoonotic and vector-borne diseases. Drug resistance due to mutation is resulting in the re-emergence of a number of infectious diseases and has become an increasing concern for medical practitioners. Drug resistance can be caused by a variety of things, including the overuse of antibiotics, unfinished antibiotic treatment courses, and the use of growth-promoting antibiotics in livestock. Tuberculosis is one such disease that is re-emerging with drug-resistant and multi-drug-resistant strains. Opportunistic re-emerging infectious diseases tend to develop in immunosuppressed people that are undergoing cancer treatments, organ transplants, or have HIV or AIDS. Again, the article uses tuberculosis as an example. The disease's re-emergence was fueled by AIDS and is associated with poverty, poor hygiene, and crowding. It is especially problematic in poor countries. Re-emerging zoonotic and vector-borne diseases are largely associated with changes in human behavior such as urbanization and environmental perturbations. Malaria, for example, has increased dramatically in incidence with climate change. warmer temperatures and precipitation changes have augmented the vector population in many areas and have caused the disease to expand into previously unaffected regions. Dengue fever, Lyme disease, and West Nile have experienced similar resurgences. Zoonotic diseases can also reemerge due to gene segment reassortments, or shifts that occur periodically and can lead to increased virulence of old diseases. Influenza A, for example, mutates every year, allowing it to escape recognition by the immune system. Deliberately emerging infections are unique in that they are microbes that have been developed by humans as biological weapons. These include both naturally occurring microbes like anthrax and bioengineered microorganisms that are altered for ease of dissemination, enhanced infectivity, or heightened pathogenicity so as to do as much damage as possible. Deliberately emerging diseases are associated with bioterrorism, and if deadly diseases such as the bird flu are weaponized, the result could be devastating. Through the examination of these case studies, the article answers the questions it posed, demonstrating that environmental and behavioral changes drive the emergence and reemergence of many infectious diseases. Increased travel, for example, facilitated the geographic spread of several diseases, while urbanization and changes in population density enabled diseases to disseminate faster. Agriculture put humans and animals into closer contact, allowing for cross-species disease transmission to occur, and medical advances such as chemotherapy and organ transplants have weakened the immune systems of a number of people, providing old diseases with the opportunity to resurge. Environmental changes such as habitat destruction and global warming also cause diseases to emerge or reemerge due to increased vector populations, increased interaction between animals and humans, and warmer temperatures that allow diseases to extend into regions that previously did not support them. In response to the problem of emerging and reemerging infectious diseases, the article recommends surveillance and quick response as a solution. It also promotes increased research and increased attention to vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostic tests. The authors describe many vaccines that are currently in development, including one for Ebola, and note that increased understanding of the immune system and advances in sequencing the human genome and the genomes of other organisms will prove invaluable in the fight against infectious disease. They conclude the article by stressing the importance of cooperation between the global scientific and public health communities. Overall, this article was very interesting and effectively demonstrated to readers that human activities are responsible for most new and re-emerging infectious diseases. It provided detailed information about a wide variety of diseases and made good use of examples to back up its points. The article further featured a number of informative diagrams, helping to orient the reader and provide increased clarification. There were a few notable limitations, however, that detracted from the article. There was not much discussion of the social determinants of infectious disease, for instance, and how emerging and re-emerging diseases tend to disproportionately affect lower-income countries and individuals. The article also doesn't mention simple measures that can be taken to prevent re-emerging infectious diseases, such as vaccinating unvaccinated populations. Many of the illnesses that are experiencing a resurgence today, including the aforementioned measles, are preventable with vaccines. Going forward, it would be interesting to learn what progress has been made in combating emerging, re-emerging, and deliberately emerging infectious diseases. Where is the Ebola vaccine the authors mentioned? I would also like to know how current anti-vaccine campaigns have been affecting re-emerging infectious diseases and what the consequences have been. We know that the recent measles outbreaks are a direct result of an increase in unvaccinated children, but how dangerous is it really? In closing, I will leave you with a few questions to discuss. First of all, do you think Canada is equipped to handle a major epidemic? The SARS crisis of 2003 revealed some limitations, but have we made any advances since then? How would an outbreak of a deadly disease affect our country? Secondly, researchers in certain parts of the world are experimenting with making H5N1, or the bird flu, transmittable from human to human. With the prospect of bioterrorism looming over our heads, do you think this should be allowed?